I'm Emily Pazzi with the American Planning Association, and today I'm joined by Jason Ray. Jason is the Executive Director of the Southwest Missouri Council of Governments, and he's also the President-elect for APA Missouri. Jason, thanks so much for being here today.
You bet.
So I want to start off with a question about CDBG and home, and talk to me about what that would mean if those programs were completely eliminated for families in Missouri.
Well, our Council of Governments is housed in Springfield, Missouri, in Southwest Missouri. And for the city of Springfield directly, they receive about $1.3 million in CDBG funds. And those funds go to support business operations, facade improvements around the community, and their community economic development loan program. For home financial assistance, we do have about $600,000 that we receive annually to assist owner-occupied homes and rental homes in fixing them up and providing access to low-income, affordable housing in the city of Springfield. So directly for the metropolitan area, it'd be a huge impact. But even in the rural areas, we utilize CDBG funds for infrastructure projects, as well as community development opportunities to enhance the quality of life of our residents. Last year we built an early childhood education center for the city of Chadwick, Missouri, which is a small town in Christian County, Missouri. But it provided early childhood education programs that wasn't available in that rural area before. And this year we're building a senior center in Marshfield, Missouri, providing access for them to have a great social area to hang out. It's amongst another senior housing complex, so it's accessible and it has access to medical facilities. So it really improves their quality of life and gives them a healthy place to go to and get services that they need.
So that's great. So it sounds like, without these two programs, a lot of people would miss some critical services that you're able to provide now.
Absolutely.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the Policy and Advocacy Conference in Washington, D.C. that we host every year in September. You're a regular attendee now. We've had you the past couple of years, and you've even been on a few sessions. Talk to me about why it's so important that planners make it to D.C. for our annual conference.
The annual policy conference is a great way to come to DC for planners to interact with other planners that are working on policy and advocacy efforts, to learn from each other, to get good talking points, to learn about APA's policy guides, but then to also build the relationships with our federal legislators and their legislative staff. I think that's the most important thing that planners can do, is reach out and start building that relationship. That's really what it's all about. So the APA Policy Conference gave us a great opportunity to come to DC, get energized about the issues, get knowledgeable about the issues, and then to actually meet with our legislators and their staff to make that connection, explain to them what planning is all about, what we're trying to do in our hometowns, their home districts, and again, just build that relationship so that you have somebody to talk to and reach out to whenever you've got something that you need to move forward or ask a question about a piece of legislation that's going to impact your community.
Now, you do a lot of communicating with members of Congress throughout the year on a number of issues. I wonder if you have any tips for folks who maybe might be thinking about communicating with their elected officials on planning issues for the first time. What's some advice you could offer them?
Absolutely. Again, it's about relationship building. And if you come from it at that perspective, I think it helps you narrow in your message a little bit more. But my biggest piece of advice is find something that you can agree with your legislator on. Of course, we all have opposing opinions about pretty much everything these days, but finding that common ground really opens up the dialogue with that legislator, lets them know that you understand where they're coming from, at least on some things, and helps relax you. And as you're talking and building those relationships, I think everybody will find out that we all have more in common than we have differences. So again, finding that one thing, at least one thing that you can agree with your legislator on, and go from there can make a huge difference.
Now, the chapter is also really active on policy level issues, which is fantastic and something that we're seeing happening more often across APA's chapters. But something that you guys do that's really unique in Missouri is you host a State Hill Day, very similar to what happens at the national level with APA's annual policy conference. And talk to me a little bit about that. Give some advice to those chapters who are thinking about doing that for the first time but not sure how to get started.
It's absolutely daunting. So we've done it a couple years and it's grown every year. We use it as an opportunity to highlight our Great Places in Missouri program. So we get to invite a couple communities from around the state to celebrate excellence in planning in their local community. And that really helps bring more people out to the Capitol building to talk about planning. It helps those communities are reaching out to their elected officials to come to the ceremony, and our House members definitely get excited about it, and they always pass a resolution to celebrate their town for their great planning accomplishment back home. So that's been really great to incorporate those two activities together to bring those people together. But again, it's the same thing at the federal level. It's all about building relationships. And with your state elected officials, you know, a lot of them are from small districts, and so you can relate to them a lot easier. You can talk about your favorite restaurant that's in the district or something like that. So again, finding something you can agree on and building that relationship and having somebody that you can go to in the legislature to talk to about issues, but also tell them about what you do and what services that you provide for the community and offer to be a resource for them. It's been amazing since this year's Capitol visit. In February, I've had a number of elected officials that I met during that reach out to me to ask what services that our office could provide to their community. So again, it's a two-way relationship, and letting them know what we can do for them as well as what we would like for them to do for us goes a long ways. We also had a lot of success with having free sugar cookies. So I would say get some food, find common ground, and build that relationship.
Food goes over well with everyone, that's for sure. You touched on a theme repeatedly throughout our conversation today about finding that common ground and finding a way to tell the planning story. You're also a member of APA's Planners Advocacy Network, which is our federally focused grassroots network that allows folks to engage on policy issues at the federal level. And so I'm wondering, how has that network, being a part of that network, helped you to better tell your planning story and connect to the resources you need to build those relationships?
Yeah, you know, I don't think that my job is very glamorous. It's pretty mundane, and so when somebody tells me to tell, you know, a story, a compelling story about what I do on a day-to-day basis, it can be a little bit challenging. Getting the resources from the Planners Advocacy Network helps me identify ways that I can frame my story a little bit better. That makes it a little bit more appealing to people that aren't stuck in the monotonous day-to-day activities that I am. And it gives me some examples of what other people are doing around the country, which can help focus my advocacy efforts with our elected officials as well. So the policy guides that APA puts out that's been put together with our peers, other APA members from across the nation, give really good talking points and a place to start again with those relationship building conversations with the elected officials.
And last question for you today, why are you a planning advocate?
I'm a planning advocate because we have so many resources available to us. You know, planning, it seems like it encompasses everything. And so it's very daunting to see all the legislation that can potentially impact what we do as planners or impact our communities when we're looking at a holistic view, a comprehensive view of our communities and our regions. There's so many things that can impact the quality of life and the land use and the transportation access that we're working to build. So it's important to have people looking at all of these different angles and all these different issues that are impacting us and our communities. And so I want to be able to stay informed, stay on top of what's going on, receive the information that I get from the Advocacy Network and our peers across the country and across Missouri to stay involved and stay on top of it, because you know, some legislators don't necessarily understand the impact of every piece of legislation, and they can't. It's impossible. So I'm proud to be able to be a voice for our region in Southwest Missouri and for the city of Springfield and work with those legislators. I appreciate it when somebody educates me on an issue that I'm ignorant about. And so I think it goes both ways. And I love relationship building, and that's really what it's all about. Have I said that already?
It's an important theme, and it's good to point it out again. So thank you so much, Jason, for joining us today. Your insights into all the things that we've talked about have been really fantastic to hear and to reiterate for other planners across the country. So thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
I'm Emily Pazzi with the American Planning Association. If you want to learn more about our policy and advocacy efforts here at APA, just check in at planning.org/policy. Thank you.